Tapi di SMS sering. Cuman dia mau SMS-nya 1 hari sebelum, kan nggak mungkin.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You are pleased to open your camera. You are pleased to open your camera and use the virtual background that had been sent through the chat box. Her Excellency.
Pak ini gitu kan dia pasti dia itu keluar kota. Dia udah expert lagi gitu katanya. Temukan suratnya Bu.
Okay. Her Excellency, Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, North Sumatra University, Dr. Insinyur Tafi Supriyana MS. The Honorable Third Vice Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, North Sumatra University, Professor Dr. Insinyur Elisa Julianti, MSc. Distinguished Head of Department Food Technology, North Sumatra University, Mimi Nurmina, STP, MSc. respected speaker from Thailand, Dr. Dalat Sriwan, our event organizer, Department of Food Science and Technology, North Sumatra University, and all participants. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, good afternoon, and it's an honor for me, Sarencia, to welcome every one of you as the master of the ceremony today. Thank you very much for attending the world-class guest lecture webinar with the highlight topic, Functional Food Bioactive Component, Tests in vitro and in vivo. To begin with, let me inform you the agendas for today. Start with the singing Indonesian national anthem, opening speech, topic presentation, technical session, and close by last documentation section. Alright, to start this event, we are going to sing the national anthem, Indonesia Raya, and you are requested to sit properly. Okay, continue to our next agenda. Let us officially open this event by the speech from the head of Department Food Technology, North Sumatra University, Mrs. Mimi Nurmina, Dpp MSc, to deliver her speech.
Thank you, Ms. Sarencia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Good afternoon, everyone. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wa mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajmain. Honorable Dr. Dalat Sriwan, Cellular University. Honorable Dr. Engineer Dpp Supriana, MS, Dean of Faculty of Agriculture, and also all of guests and students. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure and an honor for me to deliver this welcome speech at guest lecture on subject of functional food with the topic is functional food bioactive component test in vitro and in vivo. May I first take this opportunity to explain my gratitude and appreciation as well as extend a cordial welcome to all of participants for attending this important event. And especially to our speaker today, Dr. Dalat Sriwan, a researcher from Department of Nutrition and Health, Catalase University, Thailand. I wish you a huge welcome and a pleasant join in this Zoom meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, this general lecture was designed to provide of shared knowledge and research on subject of functional food in bioactive component test. It is also to develop of our course in the outcome-based education curriculum, which aim to make students have international competence as a substantial learning and a new insight of view of the topic. To conclude, at last but not least, I would like to extend my appreciation to the world-class university team of USU and organizing committee from Department of Food Science and Technology, Faculty Agriculture USU for making this event a success. And finally, I wish all of you to enjoy the program of the general lecture. Let's pray that all our efforts remain in the blessing of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Amin. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Mimi Nurmina, for the opening speech. Next, I would like to invite the Dean Faculty of Agriculture, North Sumatra University, Dr. Insinyur Tafi Supriyana, MS. So, Dr. Tafi, the spotlight is yours.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable, the Head of Food Technology Department, Ibu Mimi Nurmina, the Honorable Dr. Dalat Siriwan from Department of Nutrition and Health, IFRPD, Kasetsart University, Thailand. Thank you for coming. The Honorable all of the lecturers and staff of Food Technology Department and our dear students. It is a great pleasure to welcome all of you to the world-class guest lecture program of Functional Food course organized by Department of Food Technology, Faculty of Agriculture, Universitas Sumatera Utara, with the theme Functional Food Bioactive Component Test in Vitro and Vivo. I would like to express our gratitude to Dr. Dalat Siriwan, who have accepted our invitation as the guest lecturer for this course. As we know that Universitas Sumatera Utara continues to improve its efforts to internationalization university with the tagline transformation towards ultimate. One of the efforts to support the university is by inviting professors from universities or research institutions abroad to share their views, experience, expertise, and thoughts on the related course. And I am very proud that the Department of Food Technology routinely organizes the world-class guest lecture program almost every month with the new topics and new international lecture. So I hope this department can keep up the good work. Also, I hope this event can provide opportunities for food technology lecturers and students to build international networks and cooperation for developing the three dharma of higher education. Not only joint education, but also joint research and community service in the future. Once again, I'm honored to welcome all of you to this course and honored to have Dr. Dalat Siriwan as a guest lecturer. I wish all of you have a great time ahead. I'm sure that all of you will feel enriched with knowledge after completion in this course. Thank you and enjoy the course. And with Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I open this course. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Tafi, for a great opening speech. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, now we come to our main program, the presentation session, which will be led by our honorable speaker, Dr. Dalat Siriwan. Mrs. Siriwan is a researcher from the Department of Nutrition and Health, IFRD, Catalase University, Thailand. So, as a food technology student, to expand our knowledge about functional food development that requires extensive research and activities for product and technology development until the commercialization. These research are mostly conducted in the area of bioactive compounds, identification, and the effects on our health. From what I have said here could entice you to explore more about the functional food. And during the presentation, if you have any question towards the topic, you are pleased to drop the question in the chat box. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Dalat Sriwan. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much for your kindly introduction and also your warmly welcome. Good afternoon, everyone in Indonesia. So today, first of all, I would like to thanks to Andean and also the organizer that give me a chance to invite me to give a speech. So it's my honor too. And as I'm a researcher, so I don't have to teach a lot. So if you cannot catch me or you have anything to discuss with me, so we can discuss it later. And I also would like to learn from you too. Okay, so let's start with the topic. So let me share my screen. Okay. So today, as you already introduced about the topic, so I will talk about mainly about the food bioactive component and test in about antioxidant activity test in vitro and in vivo. So here is the outline of my lecture today. So first I talk about the functional food planning and development just in a concept, and then talk about type of antioxidant in food, then entering to in vitro assay for functional food and also in vivo assay, then open for the question and answer. So why functional food gain a lot of attention, especially in the case of food company. So as you can see here, so okay, this is the functional food market worldwide. So you see is the growth of it growing more and more. So start from 2019, the value is around 178, but it was predicted by New and Garrett that around 2027 it would be go around 268 billion US dollar. And also if we consider about the compound annual rate of growth, so it would be growth as around 8% from this year to in the 5 next year. So here is the profit that if the food company develop the functional food market, right? And especially in the case of COVID-19 pandemic, so there are some increasing about the functional food that can boost your immune. So after the COVID-19, it's very challenging for the food company to develop their product. So let's see the impact of the COVID-19 on the functional food ingredient market. So here is the key player. So it's just, for example, this is this company, and also their product is about like probiotic, protein and amino acid, or fiber or vitamin. So this is very popular. And you see the growth rate is also increased because the global coronavirus pandemic has had a big impact on how people view diet, health, and well-being. We aware, we fear more and think about the health concern more. So the demand of functional food is rise sharply. And here is the example of the functional food type in the market. For example, recently, so plant-based food is very popular, right? Also keto food. Even the beauty drink or sport drink is also still popular. And especially recently, functional food that can boost your immunity. In this case, so this is the new product from Kirin. So you can see the label is very clearly. They said they enhance the antiviral immune system. So before they can claim like this, so they have to do many things to get this. And today we will learn just some of the methods to prove that. So here the definition of the functional food that maybe you already know. So it given an additional functional food function beyond basic nutrition. For example, it could give you enhance your sport endurance, or boost your brain function, or boost your immune. And here is the functional ingredient that we can find in the market. For example, about the immune system, the key player is like vitamin C, antioxidant, probiotic. And about the brain power, omega-3 and also antioxidant. And as you can see that antioxidant, it has more than one health benefit. So they related to many physiological effects. So here is the concept to develop a functional food product. Even it has a high profit for the company, but it's also very challenging for the food industry in developing functional product, because there are many steps and also many obstacles sometimes. For example, if you would like to develop the food that maybe can reduce the risk of COVID-19 infection, so at first you will come with the novel idea first, right? Then you have to develop the prototype of the product. And also you have to do efficacy and safety tests that from the in vitro animal or human. And after that, you need to get the evidence, correct it, and then you need to publish in the peer-reviewed journal. And then the company, the food company need to use the data to submit to like a food regulator. So in Thailand, we call Thai FDA. This step quite took a long time. And then the company need to do some media activity to encourage the consumer. And then finally, they can penetrate to the market. As we scientists, so we can involve with some step. For example, the efficacy and safety, and also some publication. So that's being to our topic today. Okay, so this is show the number of the article that study in the antioxidant area. So this is a paper that published in the SciDirect database. So they did search from the Web of Science data when used this keyword. So you see from 1990 until 2016, the many topics about antioxidant study and also increasing. So it means there is a growing interest in improving the knowledge of antioxidant content in food and their physiological effect in human body. And why do many researchers study about antioxidant property? I could say that antioxidants are among the most studied topic in food science. It's just like basic method when we start to study something. It's because even it's just like simple, but antioxidant is involved with many health effects, health benefits, such as they can prevention of oxidative stress, DNA damage, or many kind of chronic disease. And it also involved with some the plant or the food source that contain antioxidants. Sometimes we can isolate a new compound from here also. And then the researcher developed many kind of methods to measure the antioxidant capacity. And here is the timeline about the major development of research on food antioxidants. So you see at the first around maybe 1925. So antioxidant it should be used just like only for the food preservative. And then people will realize that they could have some health benefits. So they developed the method to measure the antioxidant activity. The first method is called DPPH. Maybe it's very well known, right? And then several epidemiological studies have shown that antioxidant is involved with many diseases. So they start to develop more and more about the assay to detect the activity. So that's bring to the functional food design around 2015. So that's why the functional food become more popular. And here it's just the when we talk about antioxidant, the thing that we have to think about, so it's free radical, right? So it's this is show the example of the free radical that usually harmful to our body and can cause many disease to multi-organs of us. So antioxidant can neutralize this. And how many types of antioxidant? So in this figure, this is just one of mechanism of antioxidant. Maybe you can guess that this is the function of them. So they can give electron to the free radical. That free radical is like to steal the electron from your healthy cell and make it cause a disease, right? And here is the type of antioxidant. There are two types of antioxidant. The first called enzymatic antioxidant, and the second called non-enzymatic antioxidant. So let's take a look at the first one. So enzymatic antioxidant is the antioxidant that we can find in our body. Sometimes we call it like endogenous enzyme. For example, there are primary enzymes that can be attacked first to the free radical. For example, SOD, catalase, and glutathione peroxidase. And we also have secondary enzyme if the first enzyme cannot get rid of the free radical. But anyways, sometimes when we are weak or we have some illness, so we also need non-enzymatic antioxidant. And non-enzymatic antioxidant is we can get from food, right? Or some food supplement or functional food also. Here is the example of non-enzymatic antioxidant. For example, there are mineral, vitamin, and also compound from the plant source, right? Carotenoid, organosulfur compound. And the last is is the largest group of antioxidant, polyphenol. So usually we get it from fruit, vegetable, and also the herbal. There are flavonoid and phenolic compound. There are plenty of them that can be act as an antioxidant. And this slide shows some of the in vitro and in vivo method that researchers always use this to detect antioxidant activity. The green represent in vitro assay, so there are many, right? There are some colorimetric method and also fluorescent method and chemiluminescent, and also the in vivo assay. We study in several models like a eukaryotic cell and prokaryotic cell, but the most popular model is rat or mice. So today I will start with the in vitro assay first, and then I will talk about the cell-based assay that it kind of in between in vitro and in vivo, and finally in vivo. So we start from the type of in vitro antioxidant assay. That is sometimes we call chemical assay because it's based on chemical reaction. So there are two mechanisms of antioxidant. So the first one called electron-based assay or ET-based assay. The second one is called hydrogen atom transfer or HAT-based assay. So it's quite straightforward when you take a look at this picture. So A and have red color is free radical, and here is the antioxidant. So for the first assay, right, we measure the ability of antioxidant to give the electron to free radical. Usually we will see some changing in the color because all of them is colorimetric method. So depend on the change of the color. And the second is the HAT-based assay. So depend on the ability of the antioxidant that can give hydrogen atom to free radical. And here is the in vitro antioxidant assay that we will learn today. So there are DPPS assay, ABTS, FRAP, and Orac. So for the DPPS, ABTS, and FRAP is a kind of ET-based assay. And the last one is hydrogen atom transfer-based assay. Okay, so let's start with the first one. DPPS assay has become quite popular in natural antioxidant study. One of the reasons is this method is very simple and highly sensitive and also cheap. The assay is based on theory that the change of the color of free radical named DPPS. So in the free radical form, the color will be purple. But when the antioxidant give electron, they change the color of DPPS to colorless or less color. And this we can measure it at the absorbance at the wavelength 517 nanometer. And here I will show you to know some how we can do the DPPS assay. So the first we start from prepare DPPS solution. And first we waste the DPPS, and then we have to dissolve it in ethanol because it cannot dissolve in any other solvent. And then we keep it in the dark for 2 hours. Then we could add and adjust the pH by the 3 TCl buffer. Then we mix with our sample, and you have to mix it quickly. Then keep it in the dark for 30 minutes. Then you can measure the absorbance of them, and we always use the ethanol as a brand, and we express the activity of the DPPS as I show in this. So this is the result of the study. So actually we can show the result as the IC50 or DPPA radical scavenging activity in percentage and compare with some standard that you would like to use. So you can use the Orac, or Orac is the vitamin E analog, right? Or you can use the standard for your bioactive compound. For example, if your sample flavonoid, maybe you can use lutein, organic acid or something. You can apply it. And here the results show that there are some different of activity depend on the solvent that you extract, right? So the exit represent concentration of the extract, and the y-axis represent the activity. As you can see in the green color, the activity is increased while the concentration is increased. It's a dose-dependent manner. It's very opposite in this case of the blue line. So the compound extract by methanol, right? So the activity is not so high, it's quite low. And also, even you increase the concentration of extract, it cannot increase the activity. So this is the example of the result from DPF assay. And in the second assay is called ABTS assay. And sometimes we also call the total equivalent antioxidant capacity or TEAC, because the researcher always use total as a standard when the first time that they were developed. So the principle is also the same as the DPPS. So we measure the change of the color. So at the beginning or the original ABTS assay, it was it's not using the chemical called ABTS, but it's used the methylmyoglobin with the hydrogen peroxide to generate the free radical. But the improved method that we always use in the food research, we use the chemical name ABTS and make it to be a free radical by add potassium persulfate. And when it will be as a free radical, it would be show blue color. So that means when you add your sample, and if your sample have some activity, the color should fade down from it. And the incubation for ABTS is quite long. It's around 16 hours. So this is how we can do the ABTS assay. So first we start from preparation stock solution that I call stock solution 1, and prepare stock solution 2, then prepare ABTS working solution. Finally, you can do experiment. So it takes more steps than DPPS, right? And here we we'll start with the how to prepare the stock solution one. We start from the chemical name ABTS. Then ABTS needs to dissolve in low pH with acetic acid buffer. Then we dilute it until we get the ABTS solution 7 millimolar, and then we keep it in the dark place in the refrigerator. Then the second step, you have to prepare a stock solution 2, that is the persulfate, potassium persulfate. Then it will be dissolved in acetic acid buffer 2, and then we dilute it until we get the desired concentration around 2.45 millimolar. Then we also keep it in the same refrigerator. Then you have to make the ABTS working solution, because the previous solution is like stock solution. You make ABTS with the potassium persulfate. Wait, and you have to wait until around 16 hours in the dark. So this time is will be generate the ABTS free radical. So after that, you take the ABTS reaction solution and adjust pH of it by acetic acid, and then measure the absorbance for the first time to check the ability of it. Okay, and finally, after you finish all of the steps, so you can do the real ABTS assay procedure. So you can take the ABTS reaction solution mixed with your sample, or positive control that you want to compare. So in this case, we use 96 well paid, not cuvette, right? So then we added, and the benefit of 96 well paid, so you can measure many samples. Then you check and protect it from the light for 7 minutes. Then you can measure the absorbance as 735 nanometer. And in my lab, we use Cellular as the positive control. So here is the example of result of ABTS. This is from the article named Phytochemical Content and Antioxidant Potential of Leaf Extract of citrus leaf that collected in the Eastern Cape Province, South Africa. And I put the DOI here. If you want to see more, you can check the link below. You can see this is the result of the ABTS. This is similar to the Dpp assay. So the author show scavenging activity in this axis, and also concentration of the compound in the x-axis. And here the researcher used gallic acid agglutinin as the standard. So you see that the sample is citrus leaf, right, and extract with different solvent, so acetone, ethanol, and aqueous. As you can see at the concentration, even the sample, the concentration of the sample is increased. So all of them not has a high activity as the standard, right? But this it means sometime when you did the experiment, maybe you don't have a quite high, you have low activity in ABTS assay, but sometimes you will get the high activity in DPPS assay because there are some difference between the method. And also this is the last for ET-based assay named ferric reducing antioxidant power assay. So this assay is what developed by Benzi and Strain. At that time, the researcher developed to detect the antioxidant in the plasma. And then from now on, so the method was developed further to apply in the food. And this method is based on how antioxidant or how your sample can reduce the ferric compound, the ferric ion that will be bind with the chemical named TPTC. And if it can change the form or reduce ferric ion to ferrous ion, so the color will be changed. So this assay is quite opposite from the two previous assay. So in this assay, the blue color, the more blue color represent more antioxidant power. And when antioxidant change the color of the ferric chloride, so you can measure it using the just normal spectrophotometer at the 593 nanometer. So here is the procedure of how we can do the FRAP assay. So at first, we have to use a lot of acetic acid buffer. So first we prepare acetic acid buffer that the concentration that we need is around 0.3 molar. Then we have to prepare TPTC solution also, because this kind of chemical will be bind with our ferric chloride to make the reaction complete. So we dissolve it in hydrochloric acid. Then we can get the TPTC solution. The concentration is around 10 millimolar. And this slide shows the ferric chloride solution, how to prepare this. It's just quite easy. So we wait and just dissolve it in distilled water. And then we can get the ferric chloride solution, the concentration around 20 millimolar. And the final step is to make FRAP working solution is we mix all things together at the ratio 10:1:1. Then you can get the FRAP working solution. And you need to incubate it is just around 37 Celsius degree. So this assay have benefit because the condition is a little similar to the temperature in our body. Then finally, you already get the FRAP working solution, right? And then you can do the experiment by adding your sample or your positive standard control. When you mix it together, just shake it and incubate in the same temperature and take time around 15 minutes. That you have to protect it from the light. Then you can measure the absorbance. Then you finish the experiment. And here is the result of the FRAP assay. So this is from the same article, the study activity of the citrus leaf. As you can see here, the standard is gallic acid and lutein. So this quite, how to say, different from the previous result, right? So the sample could give some higher activity when compared with the control when you increase the concentration. And also here is the last one of the in vitro chemical assay that called Orac Assay. So this assay is based on hydrogen atom transfer. So the principle of it is the purpose of it is to inhibit the peroxyl radical that generate from chemical name AAPH at the 37 Celsius degree. So this is the free radical that generate from AAPH. And also this assay is different from the DPPH, ABTS, and FRAP because you have to get the fluorometer because this is a fluorescent method. So this assay is a little bit expensive than the previous method. So here is the workflow of the typical Orac assay. So at first, so we have free radical, and then in the reaction, we also have the same amount of fluorescent probe that we use fluorescein, the chemical name fluorescein. Then you in your sample, so you add some antioxidant or your plant extract, and in the control you have blank or some positive control. Then when you add the free radical to this group, so we will measure the loss of fluorescence by the difference of the group and then compare together. Then the protective effect of antioxidant was measured by assessing the area under the curve or AUC. Yeah, and we calculate the antioxidant capacity using this kind of formula. So AUC of antioxidant minus with AUC of the brand. And here is the Orac Assay. So at first we start from prepare free radical, right? So the chemical name AAPS, this is the structure of it. So this it would be generate peroxyl radical that could give the free radical that is similar to the free radical in our body. So AAPS will be dissolved with phosphate buffer, and then finally you get the solution at this concentration. And the second, you have to prepare this is for fluorescent probe. So sodium fluorescein solution, we weigh it and dissolve it in the phosphate buffer saline, and then we dilute it to the concentration that you want. So it's around here in my case. Then you have to prepare your Orac solution. So we weigh the Orac reagent and then we dilute it into this kind of concentration, or you can adapt the concentration. Then finally, we can do the Orac procedure in the final step. So we take the fluorescein working solution, and then we measure the fluorescent intensity first at the excitation state for 490 nanometer, and then excitation state 514 nanometer, and get some value. Then you shake it and incubate it and put the free radical that generate from AAPH. Then you can measure the fluorescent intensity again. Then you can compare like positive control, negative control, and also your sample. So here is the result of the Orac Assay. So this is the when we will show our result. So here is the fluorescent intensity, and this is the time we call Orac Assay is kinetic, right? So you measure it for like every minute, and it depends on your sample that how long that you want to measure it. You can see the difference between the control and the Orac is the positive, right? And here is the your sample. So if your sample has some antioxidant activity, so it should be prevent or slow down the loss of fluorescence. So you see in here at this concentration, the fluorescence just slowly to drop. But in the case of the control, so it's quite drop sharply because it is no antioxidant activity. Yeah, so when we did, so we can compare it together. And I'm not sure that maybe you might know that Orac value, once it have been used in the table of USDA that call Orac score. So they transfer the result of the Oleg assay to equivalent activity as the total and convert it to a score. And at that time, they just use only Orac test to compare the activity of between the food and recommend it for consumer that how consumer you should use the high Orac score. Yeah, so but then USDA found that there no relation between Orac assay and the in vivo assay, and it's not fair that you choose food just based on only one test. So the USDA just withdraw the table of Oleg value of each vegetable and food from their website around 2012. But don't get me wrong, so I didn't mean that Orac assay is not good or something, but it's not so reasonable if we depend on just one test to choose to judge that which food should be better than another food, something like that. But Oleg still popular to use in the food science for screening and combine with another method to check the antioxidant assay, to check the antioxidant activity. So here is the summary about the advantage and disadvantage of each method. So let's take a look at one by one. So in case of DPPS assay, the advantage is cheap, rapid, and simple, and it's very sensitive. And you can do it repeatedly and not so variable result. And it's good that you can measure it at room temperature. So no, the equipment is not so much to do it. And about the disadvantage, so DPPS radical that needs dissolved in organic solvent only, especially in ethanol. So it means your sample should tolerant to ethanol or can dissolve in ethanol. And sometimes it would be react with auto-radical in your sample and need to perform in the dark place. And for ABTS assay, so there are more have a wide range of pH range. So and also it can dissolve in aqueous, different from the DPPS. And ABTS can react rapidly and with the both synthetic and natural antioxidant substance. And especially it can dissolve in buffer and also organic solvent. But it's very time consuming. It's very take time. It's time consuming assay. You have to have time to do it. And sometimes they would be criticized by some reviewer when you publish in the journal that ABTS radical is not found in the food or biological system. And for the FRAP assay, the process is the simple, fast, and cost effective. And also it could work with uric acid because at first it was developed to check the activity in plasma, right? So if your sample is kind of biological sample, you can use this. And also iron containing food oxidation can be benefit. But unfortunately, not all of ferric reductant are antioxidant, and it cannot detect or is not suitable for ascorbic acid. And the final, the Oleg assay, the benefit is it can detect lipophilic and hydrophilic antioxidant, and it has some biological relevance. And but is required fluorescent instrument. So sometimes it's not so convenient if you cannot find the fluorometer, right? And it's a little bit time consuming, and also there are sometimes it's very high variable result. It had problem with some reproducibility, because sometimes you can get very different result from the same sample. Okay, so that is all about in vitro chemical assay. So in the next, I will talk about the cellular-based assay, antioxidant, and also talk about the in vivo assay. So this is maybe I come to the half of my lecture. So I have to ask organizer, is it okay if we just take a break for 5 minutes or just 10 minutes?
I think it is okay, Dalat.
Oh, okay. Cool. May I sip a water? Yeah. Okay. So let's take a break. How many minutes? 5 or 10?
Maybe 5 minutes, Dalat.
Okay.
Is it enough for you?
Yeah, it's enough for me.
Okay.
Thank you. So okay, so I will get back for 5 minutes. So please relax. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dalat Sriwan. Ladies and gentlemen, we are having 5 minutes break. Please grab your drink and have your time. Thank you.
Okay, so am I continue or need to waiting for someone?
We are going to wait until 15:15. Is it okay, ma'am?
Sorry, wait until. let me
One
see.
more minute. One more
Oh,
minute.
okay. Thank you.
All right, ma'am. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is the end of our break time. We are going to have Dr. Dalat Siliwan to continue the material. Kindly reminder, please fill your attendee in the link that has been shared in the chat box. Dr. Dalat Siliwan, the spotlight is yours.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have done about in vitro chemical antioxidant assay. So next we move to something closer to the in vivo experiment. So using the cell culture model. So in this case, we cannot measure the antioxidant activity immediately. We have to check that our sample are not toxic to the cell line that we are going to use. Okay, so I will talk briefly about how to check the cytotoxicity of your sample before we will get into the antioxidant assay in the cell culture. Usually there are many methods to screening the toxicity effect of your sample. It depends on the mechanism. For example, if you measure LDH or the assay called LDH assay, so we measure the lactate, the dehydrogenase enzyme that could leak from the cell that dead. So the result will give you as the cell death percentage in the percentage. Or in my lab, usually I use the WSTS assay. This assay is based on to detect the dehydrogenase enzyme in the living cell. So this assay also colorimetric method. We use the spectrophotometer to detect it. So the more color, it means the more living cell. And also in my lab, we use the ATP assay. So because in the living cell, they can produce ATP, right? And it will be can make it the cause bioluminescence because we have some enzyme called luciferase. So the ATP assay is quite can fix some problem about the sample. For example, sometimes you study about phenolic compound, right? And you can, if you notice your sample have some color, right? And sometimes it will be interfere with the absorbent if you use the colorimetric method. So the ATP assay is a luminescent assay. So even your sample have color, so it's not no problem about this, but it's a little bit expensive. Okay, so here is the concept. We check toxicity first, then we choose the dose that could not kill the cell more than 50%. So we use that kind of concentration to check the antioxidant activity. Okay, and here is the cell-based antioxidant assay. The cell-based technique is quite considered the most popular antioxidant assay method that would like to check the mechanism of antioxidant also. And there are three major of antioxidant assay based on the mechanism of it. So the first is depend on mechanism that your antioxidant can inhibit the ROS activity or scavenging activity. This mechanism is the same as in vitro chemical assay. The second one is called cell membrane lipid peroxidation assay or lipid peroxidation assay. And the last one is the endogenous antioxidant assay. So we will talk three of it. And let's take a look at the first one. For the first assay that we're focusing on the mechanism of inhibition of intracellular ROS production. The assay named Cellular Antioxidant Activity Assay or CAA. So it was developed at first to quantify oxidative state in cell model. That the first cell we use is in PC12 cell or rat neuroendocrine cell. This cell is very popular to study the brain research. And Wang and Joseph developed the method to make it can be used in the fluorescent microplate laser, because at first this assay was based on fluorescent microscopy and is quite not convenient, because for fluorescent microscope it's kind of quality data, right? And you cannot do many of sample and cannot tell in the quantitative. Then in this assay, it's the fluorescent method, right? So it needs to use a probe. So the probe named DCFHDA or 2,7-dihydrofluorescein diacetate. And also in the reaction, we need the free radical. We need to add it. The common use of the free radical is like hydrogen peroxide or AAPH also can be used. And this figure shows the principle of CAA. So let's begin by the DCFHDA is also have a special property. They can pass to the cell membrane. When it passes to the cell membrane, the enzyme named esterase can hydrolyze and it will be changed to the chemical that name DCFH, and then we add the free radical, right? So the free radical would be made. This chemical has the fluorescent intensity, and then we can measure it at the excitation state and also emission. Sorry, and this is I mistyping. This is emission wavelength. So it means in this case, so if your result give high fluorescent intensity, it means low activity, right? Okay, so let's see it's more clearly in the for the example of the result. So this is the peroxide radical induced oxidation of DCFH in the cell name Hg2 cell. So Hg2 cell is the liver cell. As you can see, this is the result of the study. So when the time is when the time is passed, so fluorescence is increased, right? Because the free radical can work is more depend on the time also. So you can see this the line that the color of the line that different, it means different concentration, right? And at the higher concentration, it could be reduce the fluorescent intensity. So this is the extract of the seed oil, and at the right side they compare with the standard. So you can see the standard more like can delay the fluorescence more than the sample. And this is the application of the CAA assay is to use to quantify the antioxidant activity of phytochemical, food extract, and also dietary supplement. And it also can use to study uptake, metabolism, and also location of antioxidant compound within the cell. So it's like you can prove that your sample could still be activity in the cell or not, because at first you did in vitro, right? And then you use the cell culture to check that it can pass to the cell membrane or not. And here is the sample of the research that use the CAA assay. So you can see here is the bioactive compound. For example, this is flavonoid, the well-known flavonoid like quercetin, camphorol, and also catechin. And also this study the fruit extract in the United States. And the researcher also used the different cell. This is PC12, so it means in here the researcher focusing on the brain disease, like Alzheimer's disease also use this kind of cell. And Hg2 is the liver cell. So when we use liver cell, we need to study in deeply more about metabolism in liver and also some metabolites. Okay, so we move to another cell-based antioxidant assay that based on study about activation of antioxidant enzyme in our body. Because the mechanism of antioxidant is not only scavenging the free radical, but some antioxidant has power to boost or activate the endogenous enzyme, or as you remember the type of antioxidant, there are some enzymatic antioxidant, right? So in our body, we also have that kind of enzyme. So in this figure, show cellular ROS generation and elimination. At the left side, this is the free radical that generate in our body. And at the left side, so it's the enzyme that can get rid of the free radical. And in this assay, we will measure the antioxidant enzyme. So I will not talk in detail about how to measure it, because I will talk in the in vivo assay. There are some procedure that can show you how to measure the enzyme, because they are same procedure but just different model. This is cell culture model, and another is we study in animal, but the process is still the same. And we will move to the last assay for measurement antioxidant activity in cell model. So that is called Lipid Peroxidation assay. So this test is based on when free radical damage the cell, it can cause the membrane of the cell damage. And there are two marker or end product that represent the cell damage. First, it's called marondialdehyde or MDA, and another one is the 4-hydroxy alkylol or 4-HDA, and we can measure it by using the 3 method. And this 3 method is maybe among all of them, the T-bar is very popular to use to detect. So actually, all 3 methods, so they measure the MDA and also for HDA. So they measure the same indicator, but just different only the chemical, the probe that they can use. For example, LPO 5X kit. So this is the kit that sold by the chemical company. So this is use some chemical to measure the MDA, and this at the wavelength 5x6 nanometer. So that's why this is the name of the assay. And the T-bar, they use the thiobarbituric acid to react with the MDA, and we can measure it. So we will talk about T-bar more in the in vivo assay. And the last is called Dpp Method. So it's it's quite latest method to detect the MDA using the chemical named Dpp is the fluorescent method. So when we perform all this assay, so the amount of MDA represent oxidative state of the cell. So if your compound has some antioxidant activity, the MDA content should be low. Yeah, so this is the example of different cell line that have been used for the CAA assay and also cellular based assay. It depends on your purpose of study. For example, in the case of cargo 2 cell line, so it can be used to analyze the antioxidant assay, but it also can be used about the bioavailability or absorption of your antioxidant. So if you want to know not only antioxidant activity, but you want to know that how your sample can be metabolized by colon cell, so you should use cargo 2 cell. But if you want to know about antioxidant activity in the blood system, you should use red blood cell or PMN cell, and also the raw cell is can be used for study antioxidant activity and also together with immune activity. So this is we have plenty of the cell line to use for antioxidant assay. So here is the example of the cell-based antioxidant assay that has published in the journal. So you see there are many ingredients, right? And also they use different cell-based antioxidant assay. For example, in turmeric leaf extract, they use the CAA together with lipid peroxidation and also use cell viability. And the cell model, they use viral cell and also use Tibba-Fleet embryo model. And another example is about the cranberry extract. They use the cell-based antioxidant assay to check antioxidant enzyme activity. And finally, they got the result that they can prove that the extract or the sample could up regulation of antioxidant enzyme. So this is the example. Okay, so we almost finished our lecture. We have learned about in vitro antioxidant assay and also cell-based assays, kind of between in vitro and in vivo. And next we will move to in vivo study. But before we go to that part, so I would like to show this picture to remind you about the unit, process, and factor for assessment of antioxidant capacity in vitro and also in vivo. So when we would like to study or understand mode of action of antioxidant. So even from natural product or synthetic antioxidant, at first you need to think about or start isolation or identification of your sample. And then you will move to check the antioxidant activity, right? Using the in vitro chemical assay that I already tell. And then you will study more about the mechanism using cell-based assay. For example, you need to know that they could protect the culture cell from oxidative or not, or is there has some bioavailability in the cell or biological system. And also in the cell-based assay also can check interaction between antioxidant, because sometimes if we use crude extract, so it's not just one bioactive compound, right? So there are mixture of the compound. Then you can move to animal study and human study. And finally, you can get the data that could be more understanding of mode of antioxidant, and also capacity and efficacy, and also side effect, so that it make good research and very complete research. Okay, so we will move to the in vivo antioxidant assay. So like cell-based assay, at first we have to make sure that your sample is not toxic to our rat or mouse or any animal that you will use. So you have to check the safety first. So here is show the toxicity testing method. At the left side, so I will talk about the left side. There are acute toxicity testing, subchronic toxicity testing, chronic toxicity testing, and also they have more testing like a mutagenicity or carcinogenicity. But in Thailand, so we are focusing on this side. Let me just give example. So nowadays, so researcher in Thailand, when we get the research grant, so we need to work with company, right? And when we discover some new functional bioactive compound that maybe the company will receive technology transfer from us to make a new product. So they need to submit the document to FDA, right? And the FDA in Thailand, it requires this kind of test. Yeah. And in Thailand, we just do only acute and subchronic disease. So it's for long-term chronic toxicity testing. We don't use that kind of data. And we also need to follow some standard for toxicity testing. There are multiple methods have been standardized by multiple organizations. So please study the regulation of your FDA. For example, there are standards by ASTM, OECD, and NTP. In Thailand, we have to follow the OECD standard. And acute toxicity is a test that study the effect of single dose on particular animal species. So in my experiment or my research, recently I have experience to do the in vivo experiment. So in my research, I use rat, and the sample should have to feed to the rat or mice is around 14 days and observe some effect. So all mortality caused by the product are recorded. And also we need to correct some morphological, biochemical, and pathological change in the dead animal. And after we finish acute toxicity, you can get the concentration or the dose that called LD50. So it was used as an indicator for acute toxicity. So here is the classify of your product. There are from class 1 to 5. So for in the case that if your sample could kill 50% of tested animal at the dose less than 5 milligram per kilo body weight, it means your sample is extremely hazardous, and we don't want this, right? And at the class 5, so it means your sample is very safe, because even you give it to the rat around 5,000 milligram per kilo body weight or more than that, so they could not kill the animal. So this is very safe for acute toxicity. But it's not finished. You have to do another test that called subchronic toxicity. And here I would like to show that there are some side record during acute toxicity. We have to check the increase or decrease motor activity, or some sedation, such as your animal will be sleep all day or not, or some pyroerection. So this can observe like quickly. So here is show the picture of the pyroerection situation. So here is the normal rat, because so let's take a look that the hair of them is smooth, not stand up, right? But if something happen, so here is called pyroerection, so the hair is stand up. So this means your compound has some effect to the brain, but it's mild effective, not so strong. But in another case called catatonia, is very strong effect. So it will be make the rat look like this. So it's like a special poster that mean it's affect or damage the brain cell of the animal, or even the skin color are changed or not, or diarrhea, or in the worst case, your sample could make the animal get respiration failure. So all of this we need to record. Then we move to chronic or acute toxicity. This test is the difference between acute and subchronic assay is about the time. So subchronic is we will give the sample around 90 days. And also from this experiment, we could get some expected dose or effective dose that we would like to use for human. And here is the picture that show summary of the how to do subchronic toxicity. So for example, this is cotton seed, right? So we give it to the rat around 90 days. Then toxicity assessment, we will measure the body weight of them, and also when end of the experiment, we do a necropsy to see the organ, and also blood urine analysis, and we check it by histopathological analysis also. And finally, you can got the data called no adverse effect dose. So I will show you in this slide. So for acute toxicity, you got some one concentration, right, called LD50. And then for the subchronic disease, subchronic toxicity, sorry, you can get the concentration called no L or no observed adverse effect level. So when you get this, so you can calculate the LOAEL, lowest observed adverse effect level. And then you can transfer it to the concentration that can use to the human. This is the concentration that you can use for the human called DNL or DLAF, no effect level, but need to do some transfer and some factor. Okay, so that you just finish toxicity, and then okay, you have to check the effectiveness of your compound about the antioxidant activity. So there are some criteria that used to check the efficacy of antioxidant in vivo, and it's always related to antioxidant enzyme and also lipid peroxidation. So today I will talk just some of these. Let's see the first assay called Lipid Peroxidation or LPO assay. This is the same method as in the cell-based assay that I already mentioned. So the LPO is the autocatalytic process, which is a common consequence of cell death. So when the cell death, so there are some lipid peroxidation, and this process is linked to tissue damage and cause many diseases. And MDA is the indicator that we use for this assay. So the principle of this assay is the MDA, when the MDA happen, it interaction with TBA or thiobarbituric acid and get some end product called T-bar, and we can measure it at the 532 nanometer. And here is the step of the experiment. So the first, so we put sample, right, and then TPA reagent, then heating up and then TPA and MDA will interact to cause some color in product, and then we measure it. And here is the process or the detail of the LPO assay, as I already tell. So at first you took liver or brain or any tissue from animal or from your cell culture. Also, you have to homogenize, and then you take the tissue homogenate to mix together with the SDS, acetic acid, TBA, and then heating up. Then you will further do experiment to take the mixture with some butanol and pyridine. Then finally you can get some color in product that you can measure it. And here is the example of the LPO assay. So this is show the influence of the phenol extract of the thesis that could that the researcher give it into animal. You can see they analyze at different organ, right? Heart, liver, and brain. And also there are some many group of experiment. So in this normal group is mean no treatment, and model group is mean the group that you use like a positive control, and then they have the Torok would be used as a positive control, and then the sample, as you can see that all of the sample could make the amount of the MDA decrease when compared with the positive control is almost nearly to the normal group. Yeah, so this is the benefit of the LPO assay and also the result of it. Okay, and the next I will talk about another in vivo assay that we detect antioxidant enzyme. So the first enzyme that we will learn is called superoxide dismutase or SOD assay. This enzyme also can be analyzed in the cell-based antioxidant assay. So this method is well described by McCord and Federick. At that time, they used to detect the antioxidant activity in the electrocyte cell. And please see the reaction of the enzyme. So in our body, when free radical happen, so there are 3 enzymes that involve it. So this kind of enzyme is referred to enzymatic antioxidant, and is the primary enzyme. So at first, SOD will change the oxygen radical to the hydrogen peroxide. And this is the function of SOD. And also the hydrogen peroxide, they need another 2 enzymes that I will talk about it later. Okay, and how to measure the SOD assay. So this is the principle of how to measure it. We measure it from the based on the inhibition of auto oxidation of pyrogallol. So pyrogallol is the chemical that we use in this study. And normally pyrogallol has no color, but if there have some free radical, they will change the color to brown color. So it means if your sample can boost SOD enzyme, the color should decrease. And here is the method of this assay. So it's just so simple. You just take the tissue or cell lysate, then incubate with this chemical. So this buffer, EDTA, and pyrogallol. Then you mix it together and measure it at the 420 nanometer. You have to record it for 3 minutes because it's kind of kinetic assay until the reaction is stable. And then we move to another in vivo antioxidant activity. So the second enzyme, right? So at first, SOD will do at first the SOD will perform, and then the second, when SOD is get rid of oxygen radical, you get hydrogen peroxide. Is still toxic, right? So they need another enzyme to get rid of hydrogen peroxide. So this enzyme called Catalase. So Catalase is the enzyme that present in the most aerobic cell, and it serves as one of body defense system against hydrogen peroxide. And it was found in high concentration in electrocytes and liver cell. And the principle of catalase activity is very simple. So if the reaction have high hydrogen peroxide, it will have some absorbance at 240 nanometer. And if your sample can boost the activity of enzyme, so the color will be decreased or no color, and no absorbance also. In the medical use, so catalase enzyme can be useful as the diagnostic tool for some disease, for example, liver disease or some acute pancreatitis. So here is the procedure of the assay. So just easy. Take your cell lysate or tissue lysate, mix with phosphate buffer and hydrogen peroxide, and you measure the absorbance. As you can see, if your sample can act as antioxidant, so the OD, the absorbance will be decreased. And another assay for detect antioxidant, for detect the antioxidant activity in vivo is called Gudetail peroxidase. So this enzyme is also the last enzyme for primary antioxidant enzyme, right? So at first, SOD, catalase, and also glutathione peroxidase can help catalase get rid of hydrogen peroxide. This enzyme is found in the cytosol and also in mitochondria. And the measure of this is it actually is so simple as the catalase and also SOD enzyme. And glutathione peroxidase is also used to be considered to use in the medical treatment or some diagnosis of patient, the same as the catalase enzyme. Okay, so this is how we do the glutathione peroxidase assay. So it's have a little bit more chemical than the previous test. So there are phosphate buffer, glutathione reductase solution, and also EDTA and ADP, and also the cytolic fraction, and then you get the mixture called the mixture A. Then you will use the, maybe my slide is absent for one. Oh, okay, so and then you take the mixture A, mix with some distilled water, and then put hydrogen peroxide, and then read the absorbance. It's not direct measurement at the catalase, because in the case of catalase, we measure the amount of hydrogen peroxide, right? But in this, the absorbance is different because we detect the conversion of the NADPH to NADP, so the absorbance, so that's why it's a little bit different. But anyway, we still measure it in kinetic assay. So measure it from the interval for 5 minutes. And then the color or the absorbance should be decreasing, the same as catalase activity. And you already have learned about in vivo antioxidant assay, right? And there are some disadvantages about in vivo antioxidant assay. So they are very, very expensive. In my country, so if you want to do subchronic toxicity, just only subchronic toxicity, not include the in vivo antioxidant assay, is around 1 million baht per sample. So it's very expensive. So that's why the research gang or companies think a lot about the in vivo assay, and it's also time consuming, and it needs to do some document about the ethic and have to concern about the ethic tissue also. And this slide shows the in vivo antioxidant activity of common consumed cereal grain. So let's see some of them. So here is animal model, and this is sample. Let's see in the case of black rice. So the bioactive compound is anthocyanin, right? And in this case, they use fructose-fed rats. So they feed rat with the sugar called fructose. So it could give the rat some oxidative state and some cell damage. So they found that the black rice extract can prevent the development of fructose-induced insulin resistance, lower plasma T-bar or lipid peroxidation that I already talked, and also can increase antioxidant enzyme, SOD, and catalase activity. Okay, so here is the example, so you can read more about this paper that via this DOI. And this is also a good research that after I searching from SciDirect database, so I found this research is very interesting. So the research article named Antioxidant Capacity of Phenolic Compound Separated from tea seed oil in vitro and in vivo. So the study very complete, so from in vitro and in vivo also. So the highlight of the research is here. And they also have some graphical abstract that summarize their research. So the research is study about the extract of tea seeds, and then they start doing from the beginning. So the identification which is bioactive compound, and then they get some polyphenol. And the researcher also study about antioxidant capacity via in vitro method based on chemical method that we already have learned that. And also they also did in cell-based assay, so using CAA method. And then they prove it in the in vivo method to use the rat, use the animal, and then the researcher measure the lipid peroxidation using MDA content, and also analyze antioxidant enzyme. So the glutathione, S-sulfurate, and SOD. So this study was contribute to antioxidant capacity of phenol extract that very comprehensive, very comprehensive, I think. And also, I also would like to suggest the website that has a database of privately and publicly funded in clinical study that conducted around the world. So it have data from 50 states in US and also from another country, more than 200 countries. So in this website, so you can find the detail and also the protocol that they give to when they did the experiment. So I think it's very useful to learn this. Okay, so finally, I would like to summarize my lecture today. So from the lecture, in vitro chemical antioxidant and also cell-based assay is are very suitable to use as a screening test before you will do experiment in animal. And cell-based antioxidant assay is a great way to evaluate the antioxidant mechanism, but it still needs some expertise in this field. And anyway, the combination of method is necessary because they have their own advantage and disadvantage. And for develop the functional food development, especially the novel product, in vivo experiment or clinical trial are still required to verify the efficiency of functional bioactive component. Okay, so this brings to the end of my presentation. So I would like to express my gratitude and also thank you very much for the organizer, and also thank you very much for the audience from Indonesia that listening to my lecture. Also, thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Dalit Siwan, for a very interesting material about in vitro and in vivo for antioxidant assay. So we are going to begin answering the question from the participant. As a reminder, you can still drop questions through the chat box. Ladies and gentlemen, if there is any question towards the topic, you are pleased to raise your hand. Okay, Fanny, you could turn on your mic. Hello, Miss Fanny, you could.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are clear.
Okay, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to ask, from the presentation, it is stated that in vitro antioxidant assay have 4 methods that are DPPH assay, ABTS assay, FRAP assays, and Orac assays. Does every method have a regulation or preference for specific sample? Maybe it have mentioned at the pros and cons table, but can you please elaborate more for the specific sample and the process? Thank you before.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. So is it you asked about the sample that may be suitable for each of the sample, right? So actually, when we do, if your sample is the phytochemical like flavonoid or phenolic acid, so at first, so you can use the DPPS assay, but if your sample is not phytochemical, for example, if your sample is protein or amino acid, so you cannot use the DPPS assay because they should dissolve in solvent or organic solvent. So you can use another test instead. So I recommend so you use the FRAP assay. And actually, I don't recommend to choose among of these assays. It needs to use like a combination because so at first, if your sample phytochemical, I suggest DPPH first, right? And then you have, I think you should use Orac or FRAP also, because the reaction will be happen at 37 Celsius degree. Is similar to our body. so you can use it together. But if your sample is protein or something that need to dissolve in aqueous solution, you could use ABTA, FLAP, and Orac. So it depends on your sample. And also another thing that very important, your equipment. So if you have only spectrophotometer, so you cannot use Orac because the Orac is fluorescent method. Yeah, so is that okay?
All right, understood, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Right, move on to the second question from Mr. Edo Yan Pratama. The question is about the food ingredient could have some different bioactive components. So is there a possibility that the bioactive components could give a contradiction in our body that could harmful? And also, do the bioactive components in food have the potential to react that is harmful for the body? And how could we analyze and deal with this problem?
So is that the question that they write in the chat, right? So I can read it again.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is quite very interesting question and very good question. So okay, so in the food there are several ingredients, right? And it contain different bioactive compound. Okay, I got that. Yeah, so if you yes, in our food, so there are many bioactive components, right? Because so the food is made with the complex of mixture like protein, carbohydrate, and also plant and something. So actually, if you eat in the traditional food or conventional food, so this is not harmful to your body because amount. So there, if so, anything can be toxic. It depends on the concentration. So the amount of bioactive compound is not so high. So if you eat in the conventional food, it's okay, it's safe, but there are going to be problem when you eat functional food that can be fortification of some bioactive component, right? So this is has been issue even in Thailand also, because now as the food company, so you see they're high profit, right? So they develop many products. So this is should do some toxicity testing. So I think in this case, if traditional food there is no problem, absolutely. But if you see the functional food, so before they will sell for us, so they need to do some process about, for example, just look at antioxidant aspect. They need to do the interaction between each type of bioactive component. For example, if they want to add chamomile extract, so this is, I just tell you guys some case in Thailand that has some issue. So chamomile extract, vitamin C, vitamin E, ginger extract, and many in that. So the Thai FDA asked the company to test the interaction between antioxidant activity first, then test the toxicity together. So at first, so they test separate bioactive compound, right? The activity of the separate bioactive compound, and then mix together. Is it have higher antioxidant or not? But if there is no difference between mixture of everything, so in Thai FDA recommend please don't mix it, because in the long term, so you don't know, because when we test in animal, we just test only subchronic disease, right? Subchronic testing, it takes only 90 days, not more than 1 year, 2 years, because it takes money, right? So the Thai FDA did not encourage the food company to especially for plant extract, but there are different story about nutrient. So for vitamin and mineral, you can mix it together to make the functional food product, because there are study more than the interaction and the synergist effect. I think more than 20 years. So it's very safe in the case of nutrient, but bioactive compound is non-nutrient, right? And normally we don't have to eat a lot of that. So this is have to be considered in the case of food supplement and functional food. But in the conventional food, it's okay. Yeah, so that's clear.
Mr. Edo Yang Pratama, is it clear enough?
Yes, that's clear. Thank you very much, ma'am, Dalat.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you for your question.
Right, ma'am. So as a usual consumer, how could we analyze the side effects of nutrient in our everyday meal, ma'am?
Sorry, could you ask again?
Based on what you have already said before, that everyday meal have their own nutrient that could give some side effect. Is it right? So could you give some recommendation or some idea of how could we, as a usual consumer, like our grandpa, our grandparents, or I mean like our parents at home, how could we analyze that this food could give side effects on our body?
Oh, okay. So if we would like to suggest our parents or grandparents, right? So there are many functional food products. So actually at first, so we have to consider when we would like to buy functional food or food supplement. So actually even in the case of COVID-19 pandemic, right? So we would like to buy something. We think that conventional food maybe cannot give enough health benefit. So we need to look for something that can protect us more. So at first, I recommend to choose the functional food over food supplement. So the food supplement is like in the capsule, right? And have the herbal extract. And I'm not sure that is it the same situation or not. And in Thailand, so many food supplements did not analyze for the long-term effect. So they just dry the herbal and put in the capsule. And many people that take this, for example, so you have ever heard about in Thai we callฟ้าทลายโจร so it called endographite. The herbal that people believe that can protect you from COVID-19, and many people buy this and hand it to father, mother, or grandparent, and there are some evidence that can make the liver failure and has many side effects. So the company that sell it did not do about this because this kind of, it's like traditional medicine, something like that. So it developed on that. So FDA is okay, approved, but did not concern about this. So so if you want to suggest at first for the food supplement, I think it's not necessary for the healthy people, or if you want to have it, should be consult with your doctor. And okay, let's move to functional foods. So I think functional food, you can suggest to the parents or grandparents because amount of bioactive compound is not so high. So but you need to check the amount of it also on the label. But I think the law of your country and also my country is very serious about this kind of functional food. And also after you take it or eat it, you have to observe maybe some side effect that it will be caused, or you feel some sick or not, because not the same functional food is not fit for another person. Yeah. So this is my recommendation. And also the traditional food, I think you can eat with the freely, but need to concern about the special food, especially in the food supplementary. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. For the explanation, it's quite clear. And move on to our next question. Miss Sylvia Rosasi, right? Please.
Thank you for the time. First of all, thank you for the presentation, ma'am. I would like to ask some questions relating to the topic. So in a case where we want to measure antioxidant activity to find out its efficacy in preventing cell damage, for example, which in vitro assay is generally best to be conducted? Or will it be better to use in vivo assay? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. So may I ask what kind of your sample?
For example, we want to identify polyphenol in blueberries, for example.
Okay. I can share my research. So recently, so I also study, actually, so my field of research, I study not only antioxidant, but antioxidant is like a basically method in my lab to screening another activity. But at first, we screen antioxidant activity first. And actually, recently in my lab, we study about anti-Alzheimer activity from lotus extract. And then, so I start from the in vitro until recently I did the in vivo assay. So at that time, so in lotus extract, they contain flavonoid or polyphenol also. So in my case, so I use, of course, DPPH because it's very cheap and you can do a lot of sample. And even maybe if you have students, so they can did mistake a lot because it's not so serious. It's not expensive. Okay, so we start with the PPS assay and we did together with FRAP and ABTS and also Orac. And we also need to do some method that I didn't mention, total phenolic content and total flavonoid content, because you have to know the bioactive compound, right? Even you are sure that is it polyphenol, but anyway, you have to know amount of it, and you don't need HPLC first because it's quite expensive, right? So we will do the colorimetric method. So this is suitable for preliminary study. And then after you found that it has some potential, you should move to cell-based assay to check mechanism, because the in vitro chemical assay just only tell you scavenging activity. So just one mechanism that mean your antioxidant can get rid of the free radical, but didn't show the another mechanism. So the cell-based assay is very suitable and not so recently. I think it's not so expensive if compared with the in vivo assay. So we use the CAA, so Cellular Antioxidant Assay. So this can represent the mechanism about the scavenging mechanism. And then if it has potential, you move to another cell-based assay to check antioxidant enzyme. Because you can claim this a lot. So it has a high strong hit point because it can boost our primary or secondary antioxidant system in our body. Then when you check this and you know that concentration, right? And then you can move to the in vivo study. And also from cell-based assay, you can check another activity that link. For example, anti-cancer activity also need antioxidant, right? Or anti-Alzheimer. So there are some pathway that connected together. So you can expand your research and do it more based on just easy screening. Yeah, so this is my answer. Is that okay?
Yes, very clear. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is there any question from the participant? Okay, ma'am, there is a question in the chat box from Miss Leah Vincenzak. The question is about how about the excess antioxidant in our body? Please, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is a very good question also, because yes, of course. So if we take a lot of, as you know, antioxidant vitamin is it ACE or something, or another bioactive compound from plant extract. Sometimes when you get too many of or antioxidant compound, it would be cause some pro-oxidant, because anyway the antioxidant is a chemical, right? So it's also, if we get it too much, it also can act as a free radical also. So this is, you need to concern about this also. And the more hidden question, you mean if we consume more antioxidant, will our body can save it and use it later, right? So actually it depends on the type of antioxidant. For example, if you eat the lipid soluble vitamin, so it could be deposit in our body, right? But it's not so good. And yes, it can keep, and maybe it can use later, or maybe can harm your body. But in the case of the soluble water vitamin, no, it's not necessary. So the body will get rid of by the urine, right? And also the phytochemical flavonoid and phenolic acid also is, there are some study that they study about the bioavailability or absorption and metabolism. It was found that the polyphenol in our body is very, in our body they need very little, and then they get rid of via the urine or feces. So actually we don't need a lot of it. Yeah, so this is my answer.
Thank you, ma'am. Is it clear enough, Miss Leah Fitunja?
Okay, it's clear enough. Thank you, Dr. Dalat.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for your question too.
Is there any question from the participant? Please drop the question in the chat box, or you could do your raise hand. Seems like everybody is thinking about their question. So I have a small question mark in my head, ma'am. So there is a method where the solution is kept or incubated at the room temperature at in a range of time. For example, like in 2 hours or 6 hours or more. Okay, ma'am. So the question is, if we as a researcher and we keep the solution for too long or too short in amount of time, what will happen at the end of our sample? Is it will create a kind of failure, or it just nothing happen in the end of the research? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for your good question. So actually the time that I show, so if you read another paper, maybe the time is not so the same as my procedure, but in my case, so I just validate the method. So you can also adjust this because we are do experiment at the different country, and also there have some another factor. So you can vary this also, but sometimes in my case, that's why I use this certain incubation, because I already try the vary is like for example, I'm not sure about Orac or something, they are 10 to 16 hours, right? So I vary it at first 10 or 12 or something, and then get the result that with graph that you will be satisfied. But sometimes if you forgot to incubate it a long time, so the signal will not show you, so you cannot detect it, or if it's too soon, so the reaction is not so complete, so you cannot see it also. And another thing is about how you keep your chemical when you preparation. So if you forgot to keep in the refrigerator or something, it's very sensitive. Sometimes it's degradation will be happen. Yeah, so this is my answer.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For ladies and gentlemen, is there any question? Please drop your question in the chat box, or you could raise your hand. Is there any question? It seems like there is nothing to ask. Oh, yeah. Miss Fanny? There's a question from Miss Fanny. Okay.
Okay, maybe this question is just pop up to my mind nowhere. So I would only like to know, like, functional food is non-beneficial for our body. It's good for our body. Is there any side effect if we consume not much, but any functional food to our body? Like, is there any side effect to our body if we consume like specific functional food.
Buku GBPP saya juga kurang mengerti kepanjangan apa GBPP.
Okay, so sorry, it has some noise, but I'm not sure that I can catch all question or not. But you mean is there any effect if we just take or eat the specific antioxidant type, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so yes, of course. So as you can see the in my slide, so the type of antioxidant is in the case of antioxidant enzyme, you can see it would work like a cascade, right? So they are teamwork together. So is it the same in our body? So we should not just receive only vitamin A or vitamin C or just only quercetin or camphorol. So we could receive it just a little, but need many types of bioactive compound because there are a little some mystery that how they work together. But in the study about in the clinical trial or clinical test about epidemiological study, it was found that when compare the people that receive mixture of antioxidant and only just vitamin A, in that case maybe people that smoke or something, so it was found that the people that receive only just one specific antioxidant get some more oxidative state or some biomarker that represent some not good health, something like that. Yeah, so it's not so good that you will eat or have just only specific type of antioxidant. Yeah, so this is my answer.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Seems like there is a question in the chat box, ma'am, from Miss Irana Fatresia.
So I read it right now. So they asked that we found a lot of supplement contain antioxidant, a lot of food salt. Therefore, between both of these, which one healthier? Okay. So this is quite difficult question and good question also. So you see, yes, in the market there are a lot of the food supplement, right? And they has the claim like antioxidant and has another health benefit also. So my answer is the first. If you want to choose or select the antioxidant supplement, at first, between synthetic and natural source, you should choose from natural source. This is the first thing need to consider. And the second, I think I cannot tell that which one is better or healthier because all of the nutrient is how to say is the important for us, not just only specific antioxidant as I already tell you, but it's also depend on the first money in your pocket. Yeah, so because sometimes let me example blueberry extract and black rice. Yeah, so they contain anthocyanin or some violet color, right? The same. And also in Thailand, there are some, how to say, traditional fruit that have really the same functional bioactive component as a blueberry, and it's cheaper. But anyway, people tend to buy blueberry extract because I'm not sure about the media communication or something. But anyway, actually it's the same. So okay, we need to think about the money also, and safety first, and also money. So I think this is depend on the purpose of your so that you want to boost your immunity, or you want to look more beautiful, or look or how to say the increase your sport endurance. So I think depend on the purpose of yours also, and the health benefit is also different by functional the ingredient. So if we see the COVID-19 situation, maybe we think about how to boost or activate our immunity to make it to work it properly. Maybe we think about the probiotic. Yeah, so if I but I will not shoot it over another type of bioactive compound. But if you want me suggest that only one, so nowadays, so probiotic is very popular, and it has some evidence in clinical trial that can improve your immune system, and it's very trendy with this kind of situation, COVID-19 pandemic. And also, you know, probiotic is it's not only boost your immune, but you ever heard about gut microbiota? It's also linked with our brain and all of the function in the body. And this kind of research, I think, is very interesting. So in my country, so probiotic is now can be promoted a lot of it, and not only just for yogurt drinking or dairy product. So they put it in water also. Yeah. Oh, and this is my answer.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is it clear enough, Miss Irena Patresia?
Understood, Dr. Dalat. Thank you so much for the explanation.
Thank you very much for your question.
So cost is the main preference in this functional food product, isn't it, ma'am? And second,
yes.
and secondly, looking for the purpose itself. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Dr. Dalat Siriwan has specifically answered all of our questions. Seems like there's not any further question from the participant, so we just move on to our very last session. All right. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, you are all pleased to kindly open your camera due to our documentation. Okay, we are going to capture the first slide. Please put your greatest smile on camera. Okay, the second slide. Third slide. And the very last slide. Okay. Finally, we have come to the end of this event. Thank you very much for Dr. Dalat Siriwan as our honorable speaker. And thank you everyone for attending to this webinar. On behalf of Department of Food Science and Technology, North Sumatra University, and our presenter, thank you for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much, everyone. สวัสดีค่ะ
Sawadika.
Thank you, Dr. Siriwan.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.